Good morning, everyone. So by my reckoning, it's 10:30. So thanks again for joining us, and special welcome to those of you who haven't joined us before. This is the Upshot Community Webinar Series, and we've been running various webinars over this last few weeks, and they've been really well received by our community of Upshot users who span right across the UK and beyond. So great to have organisations with us from all over this morning. And yeah, as I say, this is the fifth one in the series, and you can catch all of the series on our website. I'll send the link out shortly, but please do go to upshot.org.co.uk. And this morning we will be looking at indicators and the stats report, and I'll be sharing the screen this morning with my colleague Lucas Mathurin, who many of you will know from support calls and training and all the setup that Lucas does with lots of organisations across the UK and beyond. Lucas will be joining us from his home in North London this morning. Please do use the chat as we go through. As many of you, I'm sure, have had lots and lots of Zoom calls where it's very easy, very difficult often to follow when people are speaking across each other, etc. So we found that the most effective way is to use the chat. We will follow up with every single one of you who's asked a question on the chat. If I can, I will answer the questions as we go through as well. But please do feel free to reach out to us, and we'll reach out to you to follow up with everything that's going on today. Again, also do check with your team, your management, your funders, whoever's linked to you in terms of using Upshot. Upshot's used in so many different ways by different organisations that it's really good to check that what we're showing you here today is appropriate for your use of Upshot. So yeah, we encourage you to discuss that as a team. Also, we will be recording the session, obviously, so that you can share it with teammates afterwards, and also on our website. So just looking through, we're ready to go. So as you can see from the screen, Upshot support is fully operational. As usual, we're supporting. We're really busy with lots of training and lots of support to our organisation. So do feel free to get in touch. And without further ado, I am going to hand over to my colleague Lucas, who's going to guide us through measured indicators and the statistics report. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Lynn, and good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining this Upshot Community Webinar. So we've received some great feedback on our previous webinar on reporting, and we'll continue that focus on how to monitor and report, this time focusing on those top-level figures using the stats report. But first, I'll be showing you how to create and manage your measured indicators. Now, measured indicators provide certain quantifiable metrics that allow you to perform and visualize the progress of your project in real time. So the great thing about Upshot is that it allows you to monitor your performance at any stage throughout the project, and measured indicators are one of those time-saving features that allow you to do so. So if you currently have measured indicators set up on your system, on your account, you'll be able to check the status of your indicators from the home screen by hovering over the test tubes in the performance report section. So as you can see, for my community project, I currently have two indicators set up, one which is incomplete but on schedule, and the other which is incomplete but behind schedule. If I want to look at my indicators in further detail, all I need to do is click within my project, so in this case, my community project, and then click on the By Time tab. So as we know, we currently have two indicators set up for this project, one which is tracking the number of attendances across the community project, and the other which is tracking the number of hours delivered across the project. The dates you see here represent the measurement time period. So I'm currently tracking attendances between the 1st of April and the 30th of June 2020. The figure next to now relates to your progress. So I currently have 92 attendances across the project in this time period. Next to that, you can see the target, which I've set at 100. And you can also see the progress as a percentage. So I'm 92% through my target. This is also represented by this test tube. So if I hover over the test tube, you can see that I'm 92%, as I mentioned before, through my base target, but I'm 87% through my measurement period, which is indicated by this black line here. So for this indicator, I'm doing fairly well. Now, your indicators pull the progress information, so my 92, from my registers that have been submitted. So if your participants and all your sessions match the criteria of your indicators, it will automatically be updated. So as we know, I currently have 92 attendances across all activities during this time period. But if I go to submit a register, so I'll jump to the sessions list and submit a register now. I currently have 4 participants which I saved to the register. So at the moment, they do not count towards any of my targets. If I now submit the register and go back to the Buy Time tab, you can now see that my indicators have been updated. So it's a massive time saver as the system tracks this information for you. Now, if I want to set up new indicators for my project, I can do by clicking on the Add New Measured Indicator from this page, but I'd suggest clicking on the By Indicator tab first, and then clicking on Add a New Measured Indicator from here. It just helps when it comes to adding your target later on. From the Add Indicator page, I can define what I want the system to track. And the first thing you need to do is select the indicator type. Now, there are 11 indicators to choose from, which include your contact hours. So this refers to the number of hours an attendee spends in a session. So for example, if I have a 1-hour session with 10 attendees, that would be 10 contact hours. You can track the number of accreditations gained, so via an activity or through someone's timeline that is linked to an activity. You can track the number of attendances, so the throughput of the activity. And I can also track the number of attendances just on my headcount sessions. You've next got hours delivered, and also referrals from and to a body and from and to a program. Finally, you have the number of sessions that are being delivered within the project or specific activity. And also you've got the number of unique attendees. So regardless if the same person has attended 6 times, that he's counted or she's counted as one unique attendee. Next, you have this tick box, which you can include headcount session data. But if I do, most of the filters will become unavailable as your attendance information is only collected, attendee information is not collected on headcount registers. So when I talk about headcounts, I'm referring to those registers where you've only recorded the number of people who have attended your session, but not the specific individuals. So for example, if I ran a festival and 50 people turned up, 25 males, 25 females, but I don't exactly know who those individuals are. The next field you have to input information on is the name of your indicator. Now, this is really important as it needs to be clear to everyone what the indicator is tracking. So anyone who has access to your indicators knows exactly what it's recording. However, you can add comments to provide more context to the indicator. Under the activities and outcomes section, you have the measured activities field, which gives you the option of tracking all activities in the project, potentially specific activities, or activity groups. Finally, you need to associate your measured indicator with an outcome, so one or more outcomes. And you can do this by selecting or clicking on the All button. So I'm now going to go ahead and add a new measured indicator. And what I would like to track is the number of sessions delivered. So the name is clear. We know what the indicator is tracking. I want to track across all activities in my project. And now I'm going to select all of my outcomes. So I'm happy with the information that I've added to this indicator. And I'm going to click Save. So now my indicator has been added. The next step is to add a target to the indicator. Now you need to remember that your indicator will not appear on the By Time tab until you've given it a target. So the first thing you need to do is define the measurement period. So you can select the calendar. But I've added predefined measurement periods. So if you remember before, I was tracking between April and June 2020, which would be Q2 for us. And then I can go ahead and add a target to my indicator. If I feel that this target is more than achievable, I can also add a stretch target, but this can be done at a later date. And you can also give your indicator a traffic light rating, so an achievement rating. And this could be dependent on how well you think you're going to do. So for example, your indicator might be in the red, but if you know the situation is going to improve, you may want to give it a green rating and add some context to that. So potentially 5 sessions being delivered next week. So you can use this as a bit of a communication tools for project leads, or project directors. So I'm happy with the information I've added. And the last thing I need to do is click Save. So if I go back to the By Time tab, you can now see my number of sessions delivered across my community project. You can see what I'm currently on. So I've currently delivered 11 sessions. My target is 15, and I'm 73% through my target. So I'm going to go ahead and add another target, but this time using a different type, a different indicator type. So again, I'm going to go to the By Indicator tab and click on Add a New Measured Indicator. So again, depending on the indicator type you select, different options will appear. So now I'm going to add an indicator that I want to track the number of unique female attendees across my community project. So the first thing I'll do is select the number of unique attendees. And as you can see, I'm presented with different filters. I give my indicator a name. The next thing I need to do is define my indicator. So as you can see, you have these different filters. So for example, if I wanted to filter by age, I could do, or potentially ethnicity, or IMDb. And this is the index of multiple deprivation. So if I wanted to find out how many people I'm engaging with from deprived areas, I can do. But for this instance, I need to select gender and select female because that's exactly what I need to track. You can also include filters from your registration form, so your custom fields that you've added, or custom fields added from your funder account, the facilitating account. Again, I have to define which activities I want to measure. And in this case, I need to measure all. And I'm going to select all of my outcomes. So again, I need to click Save And the next thing I need to do for my indicator to be presented on the by time tab is add my target. Again, I'm going to go to Q2 and add a target to my indicator. Now I need to go back to the by time tab, and you can see my second indicator that I added today has been added to the by time page. Now, as you would have seen that I'd set up indicators, I'd broken them down into time periods, so different quarters. And you can look at different views. So at the moment, I'm on my current targets, but I can also look at my past targets from the previous quarter or any future targets I have. But I can also look at my indicators from the plan tab. Now, we've done a lot of work fairly recently to improve the plan tab, and it's a fantastic way to visually look at your indicators. So as you can see, the plan tab allows you to view all of your indicators broken down by time period, and it also provides you with a red, amber, and green rating system. So if I want to go back and add targets to the previous quarter to see how I did, I can do. And click Save. And then you get an immediate snapshot of how you did. I can also click on the target to get extra details. So you can see in the previous target, in previous quarter, I gained 78 and my target was 100. I can also view by outcome. So if I just select maybe individual development, let's save that first. You can see that it only presents indicators that are associated with individual development. Or if I wanted to look at a specific time period, I can do so. I'm presented with just Q2. And if I want to return to the full view, I just need to click the Reset Filters button. So this is a really great way to visualize your snapshot of the progress of your project. And if you do have these types of targets I've spoken to you about, I would encourage you to set them up or get in touch with us, because it could really help with saving time on your reporting. Finally, as with most of the reports, you can download this into a spreadsheet. And what you're presented with are your different indicators. So column D, you can see the name of all your different indicators, followed by the indicator type. If you have any filters applied, your measurement period, current values and base targets, and the percentage through your base target. You can also see the percentage through your measurement period and how many and what the outcomes are that are associated with each of your indicators. So that's essentially how to create and manage your measured indicators. And now I'm going to move on to how you pull those high-level stats using the statistics report. Now, this can be really helpful when you need to report to potentially funders or project leads. Whenever you go to any of the reports on Upshot, we would recommend you clicking the reset button to clear the filters, because Upshot remembers the last report that was ran on the system. So the statistics report allows you to view and download statistical data by project, by activity group, or by location. I can even include headcount sessions, but again, you wouldn't be able to report on unique participants because Upshot wouldn't be able to distinguish if they are an individual or not. You can also choose how the stats are presented and select a particular option in this group by field. And as you can see, you're presented with the Upshot default fields such as activity, gender, and ethnic group. You can even choose from your custom fields presented on your registration form or your funders fields that have been added. And this is a really useful addition that we've made to the system fairly recently. So for example, if I click on activity, I then get another breakdown and I can select maybe one or multiple activities. As with the indicators, I can select a time period. And I can also add a title or a subtitle, which makes it clear to others what's actually included in this report. So I'm going to go ahead and run the report for my community project and click Get Stats. And what you can see here are the breakdown of different fields. So on the statistics report, you are presented with the number of attendees, so unique people, and this includes all people on your registration form, regardless if they're a participant or a volunteer or a session leader. Next to this, you have attendees who are just participants. So as you can see, the number's slightly different. I have one person who isn't a participant. Next to that, you have the attendances of all of these people. So these 17 people have attended 174 times. And next to that, you have attendances of just the participants, which is 169. You have your contact hours, session hours, sessions delivered, and accreditations gained. So the qualifications that have been gained in this project. You can also add a cost to the project. And Upshot would do a breakdown or give you a breakdown per participant, attendance, the hours delivered, sessions delivered, and accreditations gained. Now, Upshot is by no means a financial tool, but it will give you a very basic return on investment, which could be really useful for some organizations. So what you can also do is remove fields. So perhaps cost isn't relevant, and you can remove these fields from the report. If I want to go ahead and run another report with different filters, I can just click here and return back to the statistics report page. So I'm going to go ahead and run a different report with different filters. And I want to stick with my community project, but this time I want to group by ethnic group. I just want to select a few specific ethnic groups. And I could select a time period, but for this purpose, I'm going to leave it blank because I want to track throughout my project. I click Get Stats, and now you can see that it's broken down into your different ethnicities that I've selected on the previous page. You can also notice that I have two extra columns, referral to body and referral to program, which I have none in this case. But again, you still have it broken down by attendees and attendances, contact hours, and accreditations gained. You can also download, as you can with majority of the reports on Upshot. And this is exported into an Excel sheet. So as you can see, you have the data from the previous page. And I've also created a graph as well, based on this data. So it's probably a good opportunity to point out that we have a guide on how to create graphs and charts from Upshot. And we'll be happy to share this following the webinar today. Lastly, If this is a report that you are running on a regular basis, you have the option to save it as a template. So I'm going to go ahead and save this as ethnic group report and save. So that means every time I come back to my statistics report, I don't have to now select these filters. I can just click on my ethnic group report and change the date filters if needed. So I hope you guys found that really useful, and I hope you learned something new. As I mentioned before, the indicators are a really valuable and time-saving way to get a snapshot of how your project is doing and allows you to monitor throughout the project. And feel free to have a go at setting these up or get in touch with us if you need help, and likewise with the statistics report. Again, if you need support, you can get in touch with us by our email or phone channels. And we also have guides on everything I discussed today and a whole lot more, as you can see. So it's been a pleasure, and thanks for joining me today, and I'll hand back over to Lynn.
Great, thanks, Lucas. We've had some really good questions on the chat, some of which I've gone back to, and other people will certainly follow up on. I just want to confirm that when you are creating a template, that is linked to your user account. So when you go back in, you will see your templates. So, but we'll follow up on that great question there in from Snowcamp, and lots of others as well. So really good session, thanks very much. We will put the creating the charts and the graphs, we'll send it out to everybody, make sure it's available, and yeah, make sure that's widely available. I think that's a really popular guide, so we'll look at how we get that to you. Just to say, we're just coming to the end today. Thank you so much for joining us. As Lucas said, particularly the indicators, they can do a lot of work for you in the system. So please do feel free to reach out to us, invest the time and set them up so that we can help save you time as well. Next up on our webinar series, we will be looking at surveys, which I know is a very popular area. Some people are using it very extensively, other people not using it yet, but want to have that insight into it. So really good way of gathering evidence, both from your participants and from the wider community now as well. So feel free to join us for that. We will send out the invite very soon. The recording of this webinar will be made available as well as soon as we can get it up onto the website. And coming up soon at the end of the series, we'll be asking for your queries, and we'll be posing some different types of questions within an Upshot question time. So we're all looking forward to that. Thank you very much, Lucas. Thanks everybody for joining. Really great to hear from all of you, and we'll be in touch. Stay safe and speak to you soon. Thanks very much.